Right, we'll start the meeting 10 o'clock. I did get a few emails saying they couldn't make it, but to be honest, I haven't made a list because I've been really busy on my bathroom. I've got the floor up and everything, and Gillian can't even get in there at the moment. So I've been a bit busy, but anyway, there was a few apologies. Louise, Keith is at Q. Richard Spalding, Chrissy McIntyre, Judith Scarnell. I'm looking at my emails. I think I've got everyone. Anyway, so that's the apologies. Last meeting we only had me and Tim. Tim can't make it today, but we had a chat and we put it on, the recording on, so at least there was something on there. I know there was quite a few busy last time, so right, we'll get to the news. First of all, Bernard, been in hospital. All the best, Bernard. All right, mate?
Yeah, thank you.
And hope you feel better soon. I know it's your diabetes, isn't it? Did you get that, Bernard?
Yes, diabetes I got.
Yeah.
I got something else now.
Oh, well, you're not.
I got
You're not.
Did you see
Oh,
that?
dear. Yeah. Yeah.
I got all that cut out.
Oh dear. Oh, so you're not. There's nothing serious like you changing sex or anything.
I can't move this hand on.
Yeah. Right, then. Right. Yeah, we'll get to the nitty gritty, which long awaited. Martin, do you want to give us an intro into your book?
Yeah, most certainly. So yeah, look, it went to press on Thursday, so anticipating that it should be ready for delivery early this week. So I'm planning to get a batch of books air freighted across the UK, which they'll go to my dad's place, and then from there, obviously, I can distribute from there. So that's the plan, but obviously that's sort of putting a bit more cost on the it's incurring an air freight cost. So for me to post them individually from Australia was just ludicrous. What Australia Post wanted to charge. So by sending across, I'm sending across 70 books in the first batch. So it does spread the cost a great deal more, which is makes it more realistic. So they should arrive hopefully in a couple of weeks, and then obviously from there, people contact me. I can organise either people can pick up, or they can we can do it on a second class posting onwards again from Dad's place in Bedfordshire. So that's the plan. So obviously, once I really put it out there initially for people interested, in pre-order interest, and pleased to say I got quite a bit of that. And so once it's actually in my hands and I can actually sort of talk about distribution and dates, and then that's when everything can sort of fall into place, and I can get it out to people who are interested. And
have you sent them across yet?
No, that's what I'm saying. I haven't actually received them yet. All I've got at the moment is my copy, which is it's not bound. It's just loose leaf. So that's my print proof. So that's all I've got at the moment. So hopefully they should arrive early in the week.
Can I suggest you sign them before you send them over?
Yes.
That would be a nice thing for you to sign them. sign the
Yeah,
book.
yeah. Look, so obviously, everyone who's makes an order, with me, I'll get those books across all signed up, with a
Yeah,
personal signature sign up, yeah,
yeah,
and then
yeah.
then the rest of them I'll do, I'll just do
Because
a
I want
signature,
one.
yeah.
This long-awaited
Yes, yeah,
book.
it's great.
I've got to have one, mate.
Yeah, look, it's been a long time coming, but
Yeah,
geez,
yeah,
the amount of work involved is
yeah,
unbelievable, and then of course the whole journey has been just a learning a journey, because I've never written a book before and I've never published a book before, and now I've never distributed a book before either, and all the hurdles we're having to get around just to get the book out there. It's just amazing, because initially I had problems with payment, because people couldn't pay it into my bank account in Australia because there's just a massive transfer fee for international. So not only did I have the problem of, well, posting the book individually from Australia, because the book's quite a heavy book, it's 1.2 kilos, and so to post that individually was just not cost effective. And then getting it into the UK, of course, I've got to pay a VAT tax to get them in there as well, and which is a damn nuisance. And then with people paying me in Australia, it just wasn't going to work because of the international transfer cost. So Dad's going to cover all the, he's got a bank account I can use and stuff, and so yeah, it's been. If I didn't have Dad there, it'd be pretty hard to do it, I must admit, yeah, without a doubt. So yeah, they're on the way. I'm anticipating, because what I'm going to do is, as soon as I get delivery of them, which I'm hoping will be early next week, I'm actually then going to put them straight on the plane. I've already teed up an air freight company in Perth. They'll come and pick them up, and they say that they should be in England in 7 to 8 days. I would say probably 2 weeks. I wouldn't say you know what postal and freight's like. So they should be landed in the UK in a couple of weeks. I'd say.
And have you sorted out the import duty?
That's something which I'll have to tackle once customs pick it up.
Yeah,
I've filled up I've had to fill up a customs declaration form, and so obviously they asked for a value, but of course I haven't put. I've actually only put down the print value, what it's cost me to get them printed, so to try and keep that duty down,
yeah,
But obviously
yeah,
it's just another thing another hurdle that I've had to climb over, which is
yeah.
yeah.
If you put
I guess this is the problem with writing a book on the wrong side of the world, I guess.
yeah, if you put gifts on the package, they sometimes let them through.
Yes. Well, what I've
Because
look, what I've
I
done.
came across this, Martin, because I ordered, because my hand, I lawn bowl, and I used to lawn bowl with my hand, but I damaged my hand, so I can't hold the bowl now. So I have to use an arm. And I ordered one from Australia, which looked a good price and everything. And then when it came through, they stuck 34 quid import duty on it. But then when I looked into it, if they'd have put gift on the package, they wouldn't have done that. Now, when I used to order stones, when I used to do my jewellery from China, they always put gift on the package, and it came through a new import duty. So that might be worthwhile putting gift on the package.
Yes. Well, I've done the form, and what I've done is because they've asked for a description of what it is, and of course so they're coming across in 10 boxes.
Yeah.
So there's 10 individual, cause it's seven books to a box. So I think you're fading out there. I can't hear you at the moment.
Yeah.
Is it
Can
back
you hear
on?
us now? Yeah,
I can now. Yeah.
I can hear you now.
So what I've written on my customs declaration, what I've written is I've written it as a not-for-profit book for distribution to family and friends. So
yeah, and
hopefully that'll be okay.
Yeah, I'd put Far East POW Memorial or something like that. So
Yeah, yeah,
you push it a bit more,
yes,
It,
yes, yeah.
yeah, I was a bit annoyed, but I got round it because I can't hold my bowl and I have to use an arm. It's now a disability. So I
Right, right,
I
yeah,
got in
yep,
touch with them and said it's a disability, so they refunded £28 of the 34, which weren't too bad in the end.
righto,
But it's
yeah,
it's a
yeah,
bit naughty, and they've given me a number. So if I order anything
yep,
else, I can put the disability thing on, and they don't put the input duty on. Weird,
yeah, yeah,
really is weird. But now,
yep.
couldn't couldn't
just
you get
just
an
just those hurdles.
yeah? Couldn't you get a publisher over here to do it as well?
Yeah, look, that's something I'd always considered. A lot of people have said to me, get them printed in China because it's very, very cheap to get them done in China.
Yeah,
But then I've seen the quality of someone else's book.
yeah,
That the guy that did my formatting, he showed me a book done in China, and I didn't really like it. Because
yeah,
I've actually produced what I feel is the best quality I could. So I've got quite, and that's the reason why, one of the reasons why the book weighs so much is because I got the quite heavy quality paper so that the photographs and everything else stands out nicely.
yeah,
I think if you go for a cheaper version, and like with China, your pictures seem to fade a bit, and the quality of paper is not quite as good. So I decided not to do that, but certainly I haven't ruled out the possibility of maybe doing a print run in the UK. But I needed to do a print run here because this is first time I've ever done anything like this, and it's
yeah,
been a learning curve, and I needed to manage that, what the outcome was going to be. And
yeah,
so I've done the first print runs local, but certainly if it was to grow legs and a lot of interest in the UK, then certainly I'd look at doing a print run in the UK, yeah, and then finding someone who can distribute,
yeah,
then I can keep the cost down a bit, yeah.
Martin,
yeah,
my son-in-law's father is in the stationery business in a big way. He's got a very
Right,
large
yep,
company. And I was talking to him on Thursday night about my sort of attempt at trying to produce a book on Ubon, and he said, "Well, when you want to publish the book, let me know because he has contacts in the business." And he said that one of
right,
his friends actually was a bank manager that travelled all over the world and had an interesting story to tell. He just wanted to do a small print run of just 30 books, but of high quality.
yep,
And he said
yep,
that what was produced was very, very good. So if you are looking, then give me a shout, and at least you've
yeah,
got something
for sure,
to and another quality
absolutely.
to consider.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. That's always something that's been in the back of my mind is that, day one, where did I print? And I always knew that printing here in Perth would always pose these problems that I've been trying to climb over. But it was the only practical way to do it because of I needed to keep it keep
Yeah,
tabs on the quality and the out and the final print proof and so forth. And
mm,
so I think that's probably what will happen later on if it grows legs and people are really interested. Then yeah, I'll certainly do that over there.
yeah. Good. Well,
right.
congratulations.
Yeah, yeah. Well done, well done. That's I know how fussy you are, so that was great to get the book done. Now,
Guess what? Guess
what
what?
about what about the
Guess what?
video?
Guess what?
The video?
Guess what?
Oh,
Guess
you're
what?
gonna. Oh,
There's one thing I'm not happy about in the book.
oh no.
After doing all the print proofing, the proofing over and over and over again, I found one comma where it shouldn't be. It's
Oh,
bugging me.
right. Well, yeah. Well, John Cooper, he runs Facebook site with
Yes, yes,
updates to his books, doesn't he? So,
yes,
so
yes.
when he gets an update that he can't put in his book, he adds it onto the site so people can
Yeah.
go into the site and get the latest from him. That might be an
Yep.
idea.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, I mean, there's lots of things I got planned for the future. It's just got to get this project done, and then I'll start focusing on the next step for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, the video's done. The video is done.
Yeah.
I sent you a link.
Oh dear, I'm having a fit this end.
I sent you a link. Did you not get the
that?
link?
No, I didn't.
I did. I sent you. It should have come direct from YouTube.
Oh.
At this
Can you send
currently
me
I've
another one?
put it. Yeah. I'll do that.
You
Currently
know,
I've put it on a private setting. But yeah, I've uploaded it. It took about 5 or 6 hours to upload it.
Facebook? Can I add it into Facebook?
What I'll do is just for the time being, I'm just going to keep it private because I just wanted to get Rod's seal of approval first because he's pretty happy with it, but he actually hasn't sat down and watched it all. So once he ticks the box and says no, it's all good, then I'll just make it public. But I did send you a link so you can have a look.
Oh, I didn't get it. Can you send me another one so I can have a good look
Yep.
at it? Because honestly, the last one I was really into it. I mean, I thought that was brilliant.
Well,
it'll
probably just come as
it, but that one's good.
Well, I've adjusted that one a bit as well. Yeah. So so it should come from. It'll just come from YouTube in a link.
Yeah, right. So I'll have a good look at it. But when you're ready, I mean, you can put it on Facebook, the Feeble Family one, or if you want me to do it, I'll put it on. But I won't put it on until you say so.
Yeah. What my plan is that I was actually going to send a link to people who bought the book, and then over a period of time. When I do my first book sales, and I can distribute some books. Then after that, I'll make it public on YouTube after that. But I was going to use it just as a bonus to the book.
Yeah, that's good.
Because I mean, a lot of what's involved in the book is what I've learnt with Rod through those those trips up to Thailand and so forth.
Well, I honestly really look forward to watching that video. Brilliant.
Yeah.
I honestly, as I said, I really enjoyed the last one. I know you weren't happy with it, but I thought it was good. But this one
it was only because I made a couple of errors in it, and I've actually corrected them, so that's why.
you put the comma in the wrong place.
No. I got a few dates wrong, so I wanted to change it. Yeah.
Oh, who's sharing screen?
I don't know. It was me, and it just clicked on. I didn't even touch anything.
Honestly, this last 2 weeks, with all these Windows updates and Blue Jeans have updated it 3 times this last month. It's been a headache because every time I try to go in, last week, me and Tim, I couldn't get on at the beginning, so I had to take Blue Jeans off and put it back on. And when it came back on, that could go through my firewall because my firewall was stopping it. It's ridiculous. I know, Martin, are you on Mac or is it?
No.
Ray is
on
Mac.
Microsoft.
Yeah, I'm on Mac. Yeah.
Yeah, you're on Mac, but Microsoft has been a pain lately. There's so many updates.
Nothing new there then.
No, there's so many updates, and every time they do an update, something goes wrong. Oh dear. But
I'm actually on my replacement laptop from the one I lost in Thailand. So.
Oh, yeah.
It's looking very good, I must say, Martin. You're very clear at this end.
Yeah. So I'm pretty pleased with it. Yeah.
Unfortunately, we've got Diane signed. She's signed in, but we can't see her. But that's a pity because when I talk to Diane one-on-one, we get through okay. But I should think the extra bandwidth for all of us coming on is killed her connection off. But never mind, that's a bit of a pity. She is signed in. 6. Yeah, she is signed in, and her mic and her camera is on. So just a pity. Anyway, yeah. Right, Bernard. Come on, Bernard. I know you don't feel too great, but I know you taken in last weekend, weren't you? You were in over last weekend.
I've got extra problems now with this one doctor. He wants to take my driving license off me.
Yeah.
I said you can't do that. Only the DVLA can do that. And
yeah.
He started shouting at me that I could kill somebody. So
Well,
I told him go ahead and write to the DVLA, which they did.
Yeah. I like the email you sent to me about 2 years ago, and you said you have to take your wife out with you because you can't remember your way home. I thought that's brilliant. I couldn't stop laughing. I showed Gillian that, and we had a good laugh at that.
I couldn't remember the roads on.
But that is funny, Bernard. As we get older, you've got to laugh. You've got to laugh, mate, or you'll cry.
It might come to you yet, Ron.
Yeah, that is coming to me. Right, that's nice to see you on, though, Bernard, and you're smiling again, so that's great. Right, Ray.
Yeah, had a trip to Normandy last week with the other interests that I've got in Normandy veterans, and it was a very good trip. The weather was poor. It's sunshine for about 30 minutes one day, but the rest of the time it was cloudy, and on some occasions it was so wet. It was really sad because we have an association with an airfield called B3, which is at Saint-Croix-sur-Mer. And one of our veterans, he's now long gone, his name was Johnny Johnson, and he was an Air Vice Marshal who was in charge of this airfield. And we go back every year to commemorate. And this year we added a plaque to the memorial celebrating our 30th anniversary of presenting remembrance at this memorial. But we got lost on the way. The memorial's in the middle of a field, and usual thing happens, you have a leisurely lunch and you sit back and you look at the watch and there's a couple of hours to go, so you're nattering. Then suddenly, we better get a move on. And of course it was a lot further away than we expected, and it was absolutely throwing it down with rain. And the time that we had for the commemoration to start was 5 o'clock. But at 4:30 we got a phone call to say, "Where are you?" So not only was it wet, not only could we not find it, we were half an hour late. And the poor French mayor and the whatever he is of the arrondissement or whatever, they were absolutely soaked to the skin. And it was the quickest remembrance service on record, I think. It lasted about 20 seconds, and this plaque in all its glory was just opened, and we jumped back in the cars and went to get dried off. It was a bit sad, really. But otherwise, it was a great trip. We had 3 veterans with us. One chap called Alfred, he's more or less blind. He's only got about 1% vision. And he entertained us one night playing his harmonica, which was very, very good. And another veteran that we have is from the RAF. He was a navigator in the, no, not a navigator, a wireless operator in Wellington Bombers. He was in Bomber Command. And he played his ukulele. So we had a bit of a concert one night with these 2 guys. And the third veteran, poor old Harry, he's not too well, but he got through okay. But that was the Normandy side. But what I want to share with you is just before I went away, I got a phone call off, I've forgotten his second name, Mike Clark. I don't know if you know Mike Clark, any of you. He's a member of COFIPO, but he'd heard that I was doing work on Ubon, and he phoned me out of the blue because his father was at Ubon and his father was an artist. So we got chatting quite a bit. And he said, "Have you been introduced to a veteran called Tom Brown?" I said, no, I've not heard of him. Well, Tom lives in Gosport, and our ferry was coming back to Portsmouth. So it's only a half-hour drive from there. I think we've lost Ronnie. Don't know. Ronnie, you've disappeared. Hello? Can the rest of you hear me?
Never mind, Ray, carry on.
Yeah. Anyway, on the way back from Normandy, we docked in at Portsmouth, and I gave Tom a ring, and he welcomed us into his home, and I spent about 4 hours talking to him, interviewing him, taking photographs, and sharing memories of Ubon and being a prisoner of war. It was really, really great experience. Tom is 97 years old now. His health is pretty good for a 97-year-old. His memory was good, and I was able to. Oh, Ronnie's back. Are you back with us, Ronnie? Yeah.
Yeah, my network went off.
Oh, right. I was just saying, just to recap, I went to visit Tom Brown at his home in Gosport, which was only a half-hour drive from Portsmouth when we arrived back last Friday. I spent about 4 hours with Tom and recorded the interview. I got about 2.5 hours of conversation with him, and he showed me some of his items that he brought back from Thailand.
Wow.
As a POW, which are obviously unique. And if you just bear with me, I can hopefully just show you what he's got. He also had his soldiers' book, the soldiers' record, little brown thing. He carried that with him all the way through 3.5 years of being a prisoner, which I thought was amazing. This, I don't know if you can see it properly. This is his mess tin.
Oh yeah.
And he made the mess.
Yeah.
He made the mess tin out of a bit of scrap metal that he found, and he engraved the lid like that, and that's on the side, and on the. Oh, he also made 2 pipes out of bamboo.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And this was him as a raw recruit. Oh, sorry, I've got the.
Yeah, see him.
That thing is.
Yeah.
And he was in Malaya when the Japanese invaded Thailand. He made a little purse out of some webbing, and he made. Oh, he kept this, and that's toothpaste, Thai toothpaste, and that's the back of it, and that's the front. And I showed that to my wife, and she was delighted. She thought, "Oh, toothpaste, very, very old." Oh, that was good. And on the edge of the lid, I don't know if that comes across very well. Oh, sorry. He's engraved POW 15 to 42.
Yeah. Are you going to? You've videoed it, haven't you?
No, I didn't video.
You've
just got a sound recording. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you going to share it or?
Well, I want to edit it, Ronnie, because there's lots of irrelevant stuff, And actually, I was quite impressed by his story outside of being a POW, because he's now don't know what the word is. He goes to a spiritualist church, and he tells a story of walking along between camps one particular day, and
it's 10:30.
The sun was burning his head, and he thought to himself, "I've got to make a hat." And suddenly, an Australian hat appeared on the path in front of him, and he tells it, and how it came there, he does not know. It was just there, and he picked it up, and that was his answer. But then when he came back from Thailand, a good few years afterwards, he tells a story of how he got this voice to find out what was going on. And he ended up going to this spiritualist church, and he found the answers, and he's very into it now. That's fine. But some of that, I think, is a little bit personal, and I wouldn't like to put that on a public or even share it with the group. But he's quite happy to share the photos, and this is his army book. I've got one somewhere. I will put it up, but his army book has got a Japanese stamp on it, which shows that it was approved by the Japanese, so he could keep it without them confiscating it. And he's got loads of little letters, like the usual telegrams going home to mum and dad, saying, I'm okay, I'm on my way back. And he's got lots of letters that his mum wrote that he managed to get at some stage. Great guy. And I've got this is his... my daughter's just sent a message. This is his picture.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry about the background. I could have improved it a bit, but I didn't want to make too much of a fuss. So, and he lives on his own. His daughter lives there part time, but he looks after himself, and he's doing okay.
Yeah, I mean you've got a website, haven't you?
Me? Not really. No.
So if you wanted to put it together. I could put it in Far Eastern Heroes.
Yeah.
By you,
Yeah.
So it'd all be from you, but that would be a good story to add to Far Eastern Heroes.
Yeah, it would, and I want obviously to keep in touch with Tom, and because he does like to share his story, and he's got lots of friends similar to us. Mike Clark, in particular, I'm meeting him at the Arboretum on Tuesday. And he's coming with another chap whose name I can't remember. So we're going to have a good chat together about things, but obviously Tom in particular.
But if you just ask him if it's okay to put it on the net, you've got to ask him first. But if you put it together, by all means, if you send it to me, I'll put it on by you. So I don't take anything. That's your story. But the Far Eastern Heroes is quite good for that. I mean, because I've got there's a lot of stories on there now. During the week, Diane, if Diane's listening, I see she's still there. Diane sent me a story about 2 weeks ago, maybe a month ago, about her childhood and her dad. And so I put that together. So if you'd like to read it, I've called it Through My Eyes by Diane Cowlan. And that is in Far Eastern Heroes. That's quite a nice one, because when I read it, that felt like my childhood, if you know what I mean, because I changed it around. So it started off with looking through her eyes as a child, and then later her eyes as a woman when she started doing research and understanding her dad. So that worked out quite well, I think. So if you'd like to read it, it's in Far Eastern Heroes, and it's called Through My Eyes. And Diane, if you can hear us, thanks a lot. It really is appreciated. Loads of feedback, so that's gone down really well. During the week, I've been quite busy because I've been trying to get my bathroom finished, and I sat here doing something because I couldn't get on with the bathroom because I was waiting for the plumber to call and do a couple of pipes. And so I sat here, and there's a hell of a scream round through the kitchen. There's Gillian digging her nails in the worktop, trying to save herself from falling. I just caught her in time, and she went out like a light. So I've got to get something sorted out because she's not too good at the moment. But yeah, I've put on quite a few lately within Roll of Honour. Some are quite interesting. But that story I really did enjoy. So read it because I thought I've got it. That started with her writing it for a magazine. She had to do so many words. But I altered it about a bit so that goes from childhood to adult life, so that works out a bit, that flows nicely. So you can, as a child, she didn't understand, and as she got to a woman, she started to understand, which makes that flows better. Right, anything else? Oh, come on, there's got to be something else. I wish Diane could get in because we had a chat during the week because she's Australian as well, Martin. And we had a chat during the week, and I said to her, don't let's go into it too deeply because I'd like to hear you talk about it at the meeting. And of course, you can't get on. But some of her stuff is really interesting. I mean, mainly because we don't look at the Australian side too much, do we? We tend to look at the British side.
Yeah.
And she's looking at the Australian side, which is different. It is definitely different.
I think one other thing that we don't look at as well is, we mentioned the Thai people and the effect of the war on them, but also I found a book recently about the Kemper Thai and how they were formed, what they were like and so on. And I think that's quite interesting as well, because obviously, they're part of the story, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, stuff
Absolutely.
like that, we can always add, Ray. If you like to put something together, we can always add it in.
I mean, not enough hours in the day, Ronnie.
Well, but as much really as possible add in, because then that starts to make more sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's good that everyone picks up their little bits and pieces and work on various projects, and then obviously it builds from that, because there's lots of people out there doing either battalions or certain parts of the conflict, and it's just a case of getting everyone to share it and get it into that central point.
Yeah,
that's the difficult part.
A lot of things come up on Facebook, don't they? People joining the group saying we're looking for this or looking for that. But here we are, this morning. There's 5 or 6 of us on the conference call, and we've got how many members now? Is it 500?
Well, on Facebook we have, but in the members section, which we're in, we've got about 45.
Yeah,
which is a pretty good number, and
good number.
Yeah, that's a good number, because I mean, we've got 534 now on Facebook. So we've gained another 34 since I put up the 500. The Facebook side is going along really well, and I did do a Far Eastern Heroes and put it together as a story for Kate, and Kate got back to me. She emailed me and she got back to me and said thanks for putting it on, blah blah blah. I'd like to send a donation. Well, the last time somebody said that, I said, great, Feeble family. They sent it to Kofibu. And they got back to me and said, did you get the donation I sent? And I joined, and I looked up and she didn't join, and she joined Kofibu. But anyway, they've sorted that out now. She did send me, or he did send me £100 donation, which has been added into the bank account for Feeble Family. that was nice. That was a nice touch. She'd already given £100 to Court Feeble as well, so oh dear, £200. Yeah, but yeah, I'd just like to see more people join this section so we can have more chats and the more input you get, the better it is.
Yeah, you can probably start getting more people working on various projects then. People might start getting an interest in what Ray's doing or what I'm doing or what you're doing on something, and they might be able to help with some contribution in some way. It just spreads the load a bit at times because like Ray said, there's not enough hours in the day to try and do everything we're trying to achieve.
No,
and of course it's all just work of passion and voluntary, and
I think the Kate one
gets busy.
The Kate one was the HMS Scorpion. That was the Kate one, and she got in touch and said about HMS Scorpion, and then I started looking at, and I found something else, and then that led to something else, and in the end, I was on it for a good week, putting everything together because I managed to download the Scorpion crew list that died on the day, because this was all this escape from Singapore, and there was 3 ships. There's the Grasshopper, Scorpion, and Dragonfly, and they came from Hong Kong, and they were put into Singapore when the Japanese invaded. So they were put into Singapore, and those 3 ships were used to take troops out of Singapore, and all 3 were sunk. All 3 of them were sunk, and the Scorpion had the biggest losses, and that's ever so peculiar because that led on to Judy the dog, which we've talked about before, because the dog was on Dragonfly, or was it Grasshopper? The dog was on Grasshopper, and of course that went through the war and it got the Dickens Medal for the animal bravery, didn't it? Going through the camps. And when you think about it, going through the camps when men are starving and eating rats, snakes, anything they can find, that dog survived those camps.
I've just read a story this week from a chap who, what was his name? Henry somebody. He was British, but in Australia, and he was captured and sent to Ubon. And he tells a story of a minor bird that was wild, but it seemed to sort of take a fancy to the POWs. And it used to follow, the story goes, it used to follow them around, and they used to give it tidbits and, look after it a little bit and talk to it, and it just flew on people's shoulders, and, it was just one of those things. But then the Japanese didn't like this, and they were sort of showing violence towards the bird, and the bird record could differentiate between a Japanese person and a POW. Yeah. But in the end, apparently one of the Kempeitai guards didn't like this bird. He got hold of it and wrung its neck, and that comes across in the story. How upset they were at losing this bird. Well, these are the things that they had to almost cling on to, wasn't it? It was.
Yeah, there's one book I read, Ray, very similar about the monkey.
Yeah.
They captured the monkey and they tied it outside the guardhouse, and every time a Jap went past, he stubbed out his cigarette on the monkey, and the monkey just screamed his head off. That's horrible. Yeah. That really is horrible. That really made me annoyed, very annoyed. Because the poor little thing that was just living in the jungle, why torment it like that?
No need, is it?
You just can't understand it, can you? This cruelty to animals, you just... we say that, but then we've taken for granted what happened to the POWs, haven't we? And okay, we've taken for granted a lot of them died, a lot of them, from cholera and whatever, and some of them were killed, executed and badly beaten, things like that. But when you talk about an animal, you feel that much more sorry. Can you understand what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Because the poor animal wasn't in the war. He was nothing to do with the war.
Well, the animal was free, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It had the potential to have that freedom. It chose to be with the guys, and I think the POWs recognised that here was something that was free, but it chose to be with them. And when cruelty like that is inflicted on an animal, it's just not necessary. It's uncalled for. I mean, the POWs were there for a reason, because we were at war with with their country, and that's the way it goes. But not the same for animals.
No.
Perhaps somebody should do some research on animals in POW camps. There's a project for
you. Yeah, the Judy one. I mean, the book I got was published in 1973, and I think I got it really when that was published, and that was really interesting. But then when I found these 3 ships, and it found out that one of them was Grasshopper, and that's where the dog went from China through the Grasshopper and then sinking and then into the camps, that all clicks together, doesn't it? Because before that was just a story about a dog going through the camps, but then you find out that the 3 ships, and they're all sunk on taking people out of Singapore. That was on they were taken out on, I think that was the 13th, and they were all sunk on the 14th. Well, one was sunk on the 13th. The Scorpion was sunk on the 13th, and the other 2 were sunk on the 14th. But that all falls together, and you think, oh, yeah, that just one little thing, and then the rest starts to take place.
Because there seems to be a pattern there that it was the larger vessels that were sunk, because a lot of the smaller ones got through the islands and then into Sumatra and made their way across.
Yeah. And then Martin, you
some of them were
being in a canoe. I mean,
yes. Well, I mean, I've included the Party of Beds and Hearts in my book on their escape, and so I've included the story of the official escape group. There was 8 Beds and Hearts and about 3 or 4 Sherwood Foresters all together in one boat, got away, and then on top of that there was unofficial guys who made their bid for freedom as well. So, but when you read their stories, they all encountered some amazing adventures, making their way through the islands and rowing against tides and hiding out and scavenging for food, and then of course all the locals who supported them and helped them on the way through, and some incredible stories. And of course a lot of them made it to Padang, and then of course the transports already left. They were too late, and then the Japanese recaptured them.
I don't know if you watched the program on survival, and this wasn't about POWs, but I don't reckon they even knew about it. That if you go on the survival course, you have to drink your own urine, because there's still fluid within the urine when you pass it through you. So they're forced to drink their own urine on this course. Oh, yeah, that's something you wouldn't even think about doing. No, but I bet the POWs didn't know anything about that the escaping. So you wouldn't even think about it, would you?
I often think they must have been in a permanent state of dehydration. So they'd probably only have 1p a day, and that wouldn't be very much. Not very nice.
No.
But one thing they did do about that was to use the urine as bit of a fertilizer, a compost generator. You often see where they had gardens, particularly in Changi and so on, that they added urine to the soil to try and get some nutrients in it. How successful they were, I don't know, but it's probably a bit smelly as well. But,
yeah. I can just imagine them emptying the pit of where you know what was in it, in their garden to make the plants grow. Oh dear, dear. Anyway, we've got 10 minutes. Anything else? Have we? Go on, Ray.
I'm going back to Thailand in 2 weeks, and I shall be there for about 6 weeks. And I've taken Martin's advice, and I'm forcing the issue with the metal detector.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
I'm expecting a delivery any time today of a detector, and I've already told the Thais I'm coming along with the metal detector, and I'm not going to do anything without permission, obviously, because I don't want to get myself in trouble. But I'm kind of forcing the issue because I'll just turn up with it and say, "Can I use this?" You know.
Yeah. Well, when we had our laptop stolen and the police came along, my metal detector was in the back of the ute, and they weren't interested in it. They barely looked at it. They had no concerns.
I'm just.
But
I know sorry, go ahead.
But yeah, certainly, I think. I always ask permission if I've gone to someone's property first. Sure.
One thing that does keep cropping up in the back of my mind is that I'll obviously put this in my luggage to go in the hold, but you've never had any problems taking in a metal detector? No. Did you take in anything like a shovel and
I take a little pick, and I take a little trowel and some other little bits and pieces. Yeah.
And you've had no trouble with it?
No, none whatsoever. Never. And coming home, I often carry bits and pieces back with me. I've never had a problem. The only time you get a problem in Australia is if you bring timber back, and of course they want to have a look at that. But outside of that, no problems whatsoever.
Yeah,
okay.
I've got a rod in my right leg from my knee to my ankle because I playing cricket spiral fracture, so they put a rod in there. And the first time we went on the plane, Gillian said, "Oh, they're going to stop you. You won't get through there. They're going to stop you." Well, I went through. She followed me, and they stopped her and took her in a room and searched her. and I walked straight through. That's ridiculous. And mine go from my knee right down to my ankle, and that's ridiculous.
My granddad
wasn't very happy.
my granddad got shrapnel wounds from the First World War, and he got some metal embedded in his chest and in his wrist. And every time he went through a scanner at the airport or wherever, it bleeped. And he always had a laugh with them, And somebody said at one time, "Why don't you have it taken out?" He said, "No, it's been with me for 50 odd years. I want to keep it."
Yeah, that's part of me now.
Part of me.
Yeah.
But with Thailand, I'd actually have more concerns with the drone these days than the metal detector because of the restrictions with the drone. But that's actually not to say that I wouldn't take the drone back again as well, because most of the stuff is remote. So I probably would take it back again one day.
That's one of the problems with Ubon because it's not remote really. It's there's villages around and there's a commercial airport not that far away. So I have to bear that in mind. But I just thought I'd give this a go.
You never know what you might find.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I hope I find something just to placate my wife because she thinks I'm crazy. Why you buy that? Too expensive. All the.
Does she go with you at all?
Yeah, she does. But now she's got the farm going. She's got livestock. She's got cows and chickens and ducks and so on. It takes up most of the time. So I'm expecting to have a few more solo visits to the airstrip and the camp this time.
Was that with her mother? I know her mother died when your mother died. So was the farm with her mother?
No. Cameron's always had. But she's just growing rice is hard work. Oh, sorry. Sorry about that. What was I going to say?
The rice, growing rice is hard work.
With growing rice, it's very hard, very labour intensive. Not only planting out the rice, unless you sort of scatter the seed like that, but usually they like to sort of plant it in rows. And harvesting it as well, it is backbreaking. You know, I mean, there are mechanised ways of doing it now, but it's quite expensive for the returns that they get. So she's diversifying into livestock, which is easier to look after, and the return is probably just as good as well.
Because over here, I mean, farms, they tend to get so much work done. I mean, a lot of them say go to Birdseye and sell the stuff to Birdseye, so they organise to come and. Because around here, that's all organised by the people they're selling it to. Yeah. So the farmer doesn't actually lift everything. That's done by the. Is that the same over there, or do they do everything by hand?
Everything. Well, no, they don't do everything by hand, but
they do everything for themselves.
They do it for themselves, and any surplus. I mean, obviously they're growing rice for their own consumption, and so they have to take a part of that crop away and store it for themselves for the following year. But any surplus they take to market, and you see usually every big town has a great big silos where they keep the rice and everything, and you go in there. I went once, and you go in with the pickup all loaded with sacks of rice, you know, sort of 40, 50 big sacks of rice on the back of a pickup, and you go on a weighbridge and you weigh it, and then you dump the rice and come back and you weigh the truck again, and the difference is what rice has been put in.
Yeah.
But it's got to be dry, because the wetter it is, the heavier it is, and the heavier it is, the lower the price.
Oh.
So dry rice gets a good price, wet rice gets a low price. So you've got to dry it, and that can be quite hard, you know, to dry. And there's a problem with the mechanisation, because traditionally people in Thailand have gone around with small sort of sickles and to cut the rice and lay it out to dry naturally, and then collect it, take off the kernels of the rice, and then bag it, and you know this is all very labour intensive. But now I think it's the Chinese, a firm called, is it Kabutu? They brought in these like very small combined harvesters, and they can go through an acre of rice field and cut the rice, separate the kernel from the chaff from the wheat, as we would call it, and bag it all in one operation. But the problem is then that the rice is wet, and it doesn't get a chance to dry. So the disadvantages. But it's a lot quicker and relatively cheaper, because a few years ago, about 3 or 4 years ago, Thailand brought in a minimum wage for people. And that minimum wage is 300 baht per day, which is about £6 roughly. So if you're hiring in your mates to come in and cut the rice for you, you get 20 odd people that could probably do half an acre in a day. It's 2 days at that, times 600 times 20 times 2 is a lot of money. And so this is where Kama's thinking, well, I need to get out of rice and just grow enough for myself.
I'm showing my ignorance, because when you see the rice fields, they're mainly underwater.
Yeah, that's it's a different type of rice. You know, there's thousands of varieties.
Wow. So is it a normal field of rice then? That's not a waterlogged field.
They do need water, no doubt about that. Because that rice is a very high percentage of water, and
it's 11 hours.
But one of the problems you get particularly in this part of Thailand, is flooding. And if there's too much water that gets into the rice fields, it can drown the crop, and then it's a disaster really. And in this part of Thailand, in Ubon, it's very, very flat. There's rivers that contribute into the Mekong, so they're not small streams, these rivers. The river going through Kama's village is about 100 yards wide in places. It's huge. Yeah. And once that gets flowing, it doesn't take much for it to spill out over the floodplain. And we've had the last 2 years, we've had to take furniture from the downstairs of the house to the upstairs to avoid water damage if it gets really bad. And then the crop is drowned, and it's, there's no crop at all for that year. So that's another reason to get out of rice and concentrate on.
That's funny though, because when you get an impression, don't you, and you see the rice fields and they're mainly underwater, and you see the little tufts above the water.
Yeah.
But of course, not going there, you don't know how. But you say there's different varieties, so. Yeah. A normal field, as long as they keep it wet, a normal field like we have a wheat field would be okay for rice.
Yeah, the soil's got to be right, but when you look at the fields just before harvest and the sun's out and a blue sky, it's absolutely magnificent. You see the odd worker in a field like that. I mean, the photographs are amazing. I should get some ready and show you sometime, because it's really good.
But not being there, that would be nice to see them. Not actually going there. I mean, you and Martin, you've been there.
But to all intents and purposes, this is what it's been like for the last 200 years. They've not really changed.
But you see, you get the wrong impression, because I thought, God, I'd hate to have a rice field and you'd have to be wading in water. But of course, as you say, they're different, so you can have a normal field then.
Yeah.
But so I think that's Vietnam, where a lot of the pictures were of rice in water.
And you see terracing, don't you, going up a hillside and small.
Yeah. You see a lot of that in Indonesia as well. Yeah. Bali's very much like that.
The rice that's grown and of course, Kama grows the best rice in the world. Obviously, it's called homily, and you don't see much of it in the UK, because you see basmati rice, and that tends to come from India and Pakistan and places like that. But homily rice is a different strain. And when you look into it, there's hundreds, if not thousands, of different varieties of rice that's grown. Amazing. And last year, when they had the flood last year, and hundreds of farmers lost their crop, the government gave compensation. And Kama got some compensation, and you'll never guess what it was. It was 1,000 small fish. It came in a big polythene bucket. How they knew 1,000 was in there, I don't know. But it was 1,000 fish. Everybody got 1,000 fish, and they put it into their pond. Hopefully the fish will grow, and then you've got some food instead of rice.
That's different.
So Kama actually dug another pond to put these fish in, and they're growing quite well now. I'll just show you a quick picture of this is life on the farm. The last day of the last trip was a bit hectic, but Kama said, we'll just have fish for tea, but we need to go fishing. So I knew what was coming, and this is my wife and my stepdaughter fishing.
Oh.
And my wife is just about to go under. Her head is sort of just above, and the Belle, my daughter, stepdaughter, is half in the water. But they sort of trawl through the through the water, and then pick up this isn't a very good photo, but just pick up the fish like that.
Oh.
And from pond to pan is about 45 minutes.
Yeah. So it's nice and fresh.
No, well, it is, except they fry it to death. You know, I mean, obviously the fish is dead to start with, but it's deep fried, and you think, well, it doesn't taste like fish. You know, it just tastes like it's been fried. But anyway, that's the way they fish.
Right. Well, I think. Have we got anything else worth saying, Martin? Martin, anything else?
No, that's all good. I'll keep you posted on when the book's available and ready. Yeah,
and I want one of your books, so
I'll contact you once I get them. Once they've landed, I'll be contacting everyone.
I'm looking forward to that.
just check your inbox. You should be with a YouTube link as well. Yeah, I'll send it to you already. Yeah, that should have come through.
I turned off.
It'll be on your FIPO family email address.
Just make sure I've got it, because just lately I've missed a few. So I've just got to start it off because I turned it off because I lost my connection. YouTube, Martin Fryer. Got it.
Yep.
Got it. Lovely.
Yeah, so Ray should have one as well.
Oh,
yeah. That'd be great. That'd be great to have a look at it and see.
Yeah.
See what we missed for how many months. Mind you, I have got your other video.
I've been very busy. Busy.
But I have got your other video, so I could look at that. Although you'd huff and puff if you knew I had it. Anyway, that's been good. Bernard, have you got anything you'd like to say?
I'd like to ask you, Ron, when I came on to the video this morning, clicked on the app.
Yeah.
And the app said that there was a new app, and I was thinking of the trouble that you had. So it said, "Remind me later."
Yeah.
I could do it later. I kept on this one. I didn't go to the new one. Now, is there anything I should know about that?
No, this one that came up when I turned it on. There was a new app. So I said yes, and it took a long time to come through. That's why I had to use my other computer.
Right.
But it seems okay. So I haven't had any problems on this, except I forgot to plug in. I was on Wi-Fi and I forgot to plug in my LAN lead. So that's why I went off halfway through. That wasn't the app. That was my fault. I forgot to plug my LAN lead in. But you should be okay. Now, what you can do is load the new app and go in and make sure that will allow you into this meeting even afterwards. So just go into the meeting and make sure you're okay. Right. If you can't, get in touch with me and I'll send you an invite and we'll have a chat to make sure you can get in. But if you do have any trouble, uninstall the app completely, go into BlueJeans and install the app they tell you to install. You can get into BlueJeans by clicking on the invite I send out as an email. Click on, do you want to test your connection? And then that will say you haven't got an app, and that will load the new app. And then when it comes up, do you want... I've got AVG, which is my virus protector. Do you want to let BlueJeans through AVG? Just say yes. Yours might be different to AVG. Yours might be something else. But when it says, do you want to allow BlueJeans access to your computer, say yes, and you'll be okay.
If I go back into the email that you sent me for this video meeting now,
yeah,
and I click on the app, then Will it come up again then?
That should come up. Do you want to update?
Right.
And yeah, because I know they've got out. They're using for us to talk together. They use ports, what they call ports. It's like really putting your emails into a box and somebody taking them out the other end. But they're called ports. Now they've opened up 2 new ports, which your computer might not allow BlueJeans to use.
Right.
So if you uninstall and install and say yes, that will automatically let you use their ports. So if you just think about a port as put an email in one side and somebody taking it out the other side, it's just the through thing.
Right.
So yeah, this one's got the new app on, and I'm okay. As I said, that was my fault. Mine went off because I forgot to plug in my LAN lead, which I like using my LAN lead because instead of Wi-Fi, because you get more bandwidth.
Will I have to alter the app on my tablet as well?
Yeah, I can't see no reason why you shouldn't, That might be because they've opened these 2 new ports, and if you don't put the new app on, you might not get the 2 new ports they've opened.
Right.
So best to do it.
Okay.
But test it before you have the next meeting. Just go into test your connection, and then that should put you into your app. If you haven't got the app loaded, that will say, do you want to load the app? Load the app and see if you can see your video and the sound. You just look at your mic up top and you'll see it goes up and down. So just make sure you're okay.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
Yeah, right. I'll just turn record off. Everyone okay? I'll turn record off.
Yep.